All right, in this last video for Learning Target 1 notes, this will complete the entire Learning Target 1 notes, is a discussion about interval notation / union notation. Different books will refer to it as different titles, but union notation, interval notation, same thing. The big concept is this. When you are illustrating or communicating, your answer to a less than or a greater than, you would use an open circle when you're graphing that and shading. So when you're doing interval notation, those will be communicated by using a parentheses. We'll explain how in just a minute, but parentheses represent open circles. When you're communicating a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, the critical value is included, so we use a closed circle. And in interval notation, we'll use a bracket symbol. And a bracket looks like that. All right, now we'll deal with solid line and dotted line later in another learning target. And by now, if you're watching this video, you may realize that a dotted line is what you do when you're graphing two-dimension. And solid line is what you do in two-dimension for that situation. But anyways, this is more for Learning Target 1. So let's go back to question number 1 and look at its answer and put it in union / interval notation. So it's kind of messy, but the original answer was shading 1 to 5. 1 to 5. So you read a graph like you read a book from left to right. So the shading starts at 1, stops at 5, and they were included. So according to our little box here, when they are included, we use a bracket. So number 1, in interval notation, bracket 1, 5, close the bracket. And you're telling the reader that the solution set goes from 1 to 5. I kind of jokingly refer to interval notation as kind of the text message of solutions because it's just about as short as you can write the answer. Number 2, let's take a look at it. The solutions for number 2 start at -2, stop at 3, but they do not include -2 or 3. So we're going to use parentheses when indicating the not included. So parentheses -2, 3, parentheses. And while that kind of looks like an ordered pair, in this situation with the directions being interval notation, that's just how you write it. That's saying that -2 is not included and 3 is not included. You shade between the two. Number 3, take a look at its answers. Let's see, starting at 5 and then shade to the right forever, which means you're shading to positive infinity. So in interval notation, starting at 5 but not including 5 is a parentheses. Shade to infinity. Now, the concept of included and not included, you can't really include infinity because as soon as you include it, meaning put a bracket, if you include it, that's kind of saying like it stops at infinity. Well, the nature of infinity, it goes on forever, so you can never include infinity. So anytime you have an infinity, it's going to have parentheses beside it, not included, because of the nature of infinity. But anyways, moving on to number 4. No solution for number 4. No solution. So for the interval notation, no solution symbol. Number 5, going back to number 5. Let's see, where's it at? There it is. Number 5, you read a graph like you read a book, so the shading starts on the left side at -infinity and goes all the way to 0, and it includes at 0. It's a solid circle. So our interval notation starts at -infinity, and again, you can't include infinity, and stops at 0, and it includes 0, so put a bracket. Number 6 is kind of the weird one because number 6 has 2 different sets of shading. It has shading that goes from -infinity to 2, and it has shading at 6 to infinity. Now, we've already talked about parentheses around the infinity because you can't include that. The 2 is an open circle, so it will be a parentheses here, and a closed circle at 6, so it's a bracket there. Now, the union of these 2 answers, the kind of addition of these 2, this is where that union kind of, really needs to be explained or exaggerated here. That's where this symbol in between comes. I really kind of messed that up. Let me try that again. You've got a solution set of negative infinity to 2. You've got a solution set of 6 to infinity, and you want to put those two together. So it's kind of like adding them together. You use a symbol for union that just looks like kind of a capital U. So that's your interval notation. Negative infinity to 2, negative infinity to 2, not including 2. Union that with 6 to infinity, and 6 is included, so a bracket at 6. And then number 7, if you need to pause the video and go back to it and look at it, feel free. I know I'm going kind of fast. Number 7 starts at 1 and shades to positive infinity. So starting at 1, not including 1 to infinity. And then last, number 8, if you'll remember, was all real numbers. So everything was shaded. So our shading starts at negative infinity, and it stops at positive infinity. And that's interval notation. Parentheses for not included, brackets for included. And then every now and then, if you have an or, you'll need to use the union symbol to combine two different sets of solutions.